Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures, and it's Friday, which means we have another Obscurity in Miniature. Now, this is a book that has taken me some time to finally track down. It seems to have gone out of print for a while, but seems to have slowly resurfaced back out there, and that is the Asura's Wrath official complete works that Udon has put out here. There's a bowl of Udon on there. So yeah, this book seems to be almost a page-for-page adaptation of the original Japanese book. You can see here, cover price $40. I don't know if I paid that much. My biggest gripe, as always with a lot of the Udon art books, is the binding. I hate the binding. This kind of book, it's like that square, perfect bound rather than, well, number one, hardcover, but number two, any kind of sewn binding, because when you open this up too much, it is going to crack, separate, fall apart. So you got to be kind of extra careful with these type of books, which is a bit of a disappointment because, you know, this stuff deserves to be looked at and ogled and appreciated. And I think, and I've long felt, that Asura's Wrath was kind of like a black sheep of Capcom's 360 PS3 generation games. It was a bit of a black sheep in that it didn't really seem to know what it wanted to do or connect with the kind of people that would appreciate it. And I just liked it because it was really different. It felt a bit like they were channeling those Godhand vibes while playing it, just kind of wild, you know, beat 'em up, mixed in a full-on anime-esque retelling of, like, you know, the Indian epics and stuff like that, but not exactly, but with spaceships and thousands of years in between. So it's just a funky game. And I remember getting a hold of Grant Morrison's, what is it, the 18 Days book around the same time when the game came out, and just kind of feeling they were both very compatible with each other. So upon opening it up, we have some nice sketch art, line art here for one of the various cutscenes, and that was what really threw me off with the game. You had all these really fun, exciting, epic, and I mean epic, battles and fights with bosses in it, but it was like a almost over glorified cinematic, you know, quick time event. And the thing is, like, the game had such a unique look to it. It was so different. I mean, there's just such a strong East Asian feel to a lot of the art. Now, a lot of this is early promotional stuff. You can see the crappy binding already peeking out there. But you didn't really see that, you know. This is like something different. And I think that's probably what initially attracted me to the game. Never mind the fact that you got a cool dude with, you know, screaming and yelling with too many hands. A lot of background work as well. We get into a lot of the CG renders and designs of most of the main characters. I don't know. A lot of it also reminded me of, like, Daisuke Izuka's card game artwork. He does a lot of stuff for, like, what is it? Victory Road's the company. Dang it, I can't think of the name of the game. Buddy Fight? Is that it? Anyway, I know he does Duel Masters, but a lot of those card games, dude's always drawing really epic armored dragons. Yasha in all his various incarnations. Skipping through some of the bosses. Wizen. My favorite, August. That fight with him on the moon with his sword was just, yeah. His infinitely growing sword. Some of the various monsters. You can skip through some of those. We don't want to spoil stuff. And then we get into the actual character designs. So it's nice to see we have... This is mostly the finished stuff. There's actually some unused concepts in the back, which I found really neat. Personally, I've always appreciated Asura's design here, especially once he's got his halo and the 6 arms. I always thought he looked really cool. You knew you were in for a very exciting and epic beatdown once all his gear was assembled. I've always had a thing for funky backpacks like that. I've mentioned it before, some of his various arms. as he starts to get more heavily equipped there. I'd like to show you just, he was so ragged and torn up by the end of the game, too. Once he's gone into full-on destructor mode there. Man, I would kill to have a tabletop incarnation of Asura in that form. As well as August. You gotta have August. Dave's maybe too, but August was awesome. With sword. One of the various forms of Wizen, which we're not going to get into. Again, I really enjoyed the overall style of this game. They were doing things that not a whole lot of other games were doing. And with all the various episodes that the game goes through, like with full-on anime cutscenes and cut-ins. Some of the troop equipment there. And funny enough, I don't think the game has shown up for any of the current systems out there. It's the Goma shirt showing up. The Goma were interesting. So let's see, where's the ships? I don't know if we have any of the early ships. After we go through a lot of the character settings and renders, what was pretty cool here is you actually get a lot of the episode cutscene layouts, and there's a lot for this game. So it's kind of cool. They get a little blurb over here about the actual renders and what's going on there. I'm not going to spoil any of it. I don't even remember. I don't know if I ever did the DLC. Because they get into that in here too. Like I said, there's a lot of story in this game. And that was kind of, I know, one gripe a lot of people had with it was it's like you'd play through a little section and then cutscene, play through a little bit more, cutscene, play through a little bit more, long cutscene. It was very much on rails in that regard. Some of the ships here. There were some pretty epic ship battles in the game. Some of the illustrated pieces existing between sections. You can see we're still going through, I think we just finished finally going through the cutscene section, and we're getting into some of the ship designs. And what's sad to me is the coolest section is when we start to get into the early concept designs, like with the no-armed Asura using August's blade. Some of the anime stuff. The actual early art, and again, there's some really interesting designs here that outside of this book and now this video, I don't think I've ever come across anywhere. Unused concepts for everybody and their power-up forms. Background and storyboard design artwork. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on here. Translations of some of the various comics, in-game things, merchandise goods. I always thought if any artist was ever worthy of doing a Ashura's Wrath manga, it would have been like Terada. Terada, I think, would have done a really cool job on it. And then we got a really extensive, and I mean quite extensive interview with the main directors and creators of the game. So overall, a nice little package, especially for a bit of an unsung gem. I know it was very decisive for a lot of people, not exactly what they expected. I'll admit it wasn't either for myself, but I definitely grew on me and has kind of left a nice memorable mark in my history of game playing. So if you want to relive the glory of the game, take a look at some of the stuff here. It's definitely worth tracking down. Again, it's a bit of an obscure game, so you might have a bit of a challenge finding it. I'll see if I can find a link on Amazon and leave that down below, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it as much as I did. So, with that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures. Saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye!